Hello, hello, hello. We are back in our classic spot for our IG live today, 104. We're a little bit late. But we're gonna do a quick little IG live with Francesca. We're gonna talk about you can become an editorial stylist. We're gonna give you some advice on how you can build your portfolio and the steps you need to take if you want to work at New York Fashion Week. I know we all love the glitz and the glam. So she's gonna be giving us her tips, her advice. Oh, here we are.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Um, so hi, what's today? Tuesday? Gosh,
Today's Tuesday. Yes.
it's only Tuesday.
It's only Tuesday. I feel like with freelancers, though, it's like a joke, an ongoing joke that I always have. Like, it doesn't even matter what day it is. It just, like, people are like, oh, thank God it's Friday. I'm like, except today is my Monday. So,
It just doesn't matter what day, you're just always.
yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Francesca. Do you want to introduce yourself and then I'll talk a little bit about, AOG and then we'll get started?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone who's tuning in. My name is Francesca Maria. I am a New York City based fashion hairstylist, and I am also one of Artists on Go ambassadors. So I just joined their team very recently, and I'm very excited because I've been really diving deep into offering what I do backstage and on set to my models to now my personal clientele as well. So now I'm accepting private clients in a salon, and what's so great about this flexibility is that I kind of, depending on where I'm at, because I travel a lot for work. So I do take clients in Florida. I'm licensed cosmetologist in Florida as well. So Miami is a network that Artists on Go is in as well over there, and also in New York City. So it's a really exciting time for me right now, and I'm excited that Artists on Go wanted to chat with me today about kind of balancing between the two worlds, because even though you're doing hair in both worlds, they're completely different, and the way to manage both platforms or both markets is completely different. So that's what we're talking about today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, for everyone who doesn't know, I am Katie. I am the marketing guru here at Artists on Go. As Francesca said, we are Artists on Go. We help match stylists with their perfect salons, and we sort of give them just a flexible renting style. So whether you want to rent by the hour, by the day, by the week, by the month, we just sort of give you that more flexibility that you're looking for as a stylist. If you're an editorial stylist like Francesca, who just needs more flexibility within her schedule for that, or if you just, only want to work 3 or 4 days a week, or you only want to work 40 hours a month, we just sort of give you that freedom and flexibility to kind of make your own schedule and take control of your career. So that's sort of our goal. And I'm excited to get started and hear from Francesca on how we can all become editorial stylists.
Yeah. Also, before we get started, I just want to say shout out to Dennis, who's here watching right now. He just put Francesca 3 hearts. Hi, Dennis. How are you? Him and I both work on in the same industry, and we in like the fashion world and beauty world. And we finally met in person backstage at the area show like 2 weeks ago,
Oh, cool.
and it just felt like we were friends already, even though we had really just met in person. It was great to finally connect in person. So I'm glad you're here today. Thank you for coming.
We love that. I love meeting people like that. They'll just feel like friends from the get
Yeah.
go. Totally the
Yeah.
vibe.
And his work is incredible. You guys have to check it out. Like, every photo is like a Pantene commercial. It's like his hair is
Yeah.
insane.
Okay. So to get started, how did you make the transition from a salon, mostly working in a salon, to editorial hairstyling? Like what did you decide, and then you were like, okay, how do you get started, basically?
Yeah. So something that a lot of people don't really know, that I'm really starting to push out more, is about my past, where I come from. So both my parents are actually hairstylists, and um, Oh, Cheryl, Dennis's page. If you scroll up to the comment section, it's Dennis per, per, Perini. Am I pronouncing that right, Dennis? I'm sorry. Dennis Perini hair. If you scroll that up, you'll see his photo is a black and white photo, and you can check out his work. Both my parents are hairstylists, so I got started doing hair when I was like 14, 15 years
Oh, wow.
old. And I just knew that that's something that I really, really wanted to do. Thanks, Dennis. Thanks for hearting. And then I was going to a lot of the shows like Orlando Premiere, and I just loved, being behind the chair and like what it meant for me and boosting other people's confidence, and then also just kind of working in that creative environment. But once I turned 19, I was like, I love doing hair, but there's something, a part of me that I was missing was I loved the idea of travel and, just kind of not being stuck in the same place. I was really tired of working at the same salon all the time. I wanted to kind of explore, which Artists on Go didn't exist yet. Plus, also, my parents own a salon, so of course I'm going to be working with them. So it's just kind of like this thing of a 19-year-old wanting to, break away from mom and dad,
Mhm.
and and explore more. And so I, at that time, met my husband. He was a friend of mine at that time, and he's a photographer. So he's the one that told me about the photography world and editorial and production world. So how I got started in that is I started assisting. So I know that when you reach a certain age and you're not 19 or 20, 21, assisting can be hard because you're kind of stepping away from being behind the chair where you can be making, $1,000, $2,000 a day, especially if you're a colorist, to making an ongoing rate for usual rate for an assistant on set is about anywhere between 250 and 350 a day. And this all depends on the on the project itself and how much work, how long the shoot is and everything like that. So it can kind of be a little bit of like a punch in the gut financially at first. However, what it does is, what I look at it as is that you're actually getting paid to go to school. So
Mhm.
as an assistant, you're learning, you're shadowing the person, you are getting to know how that person is talking to the client, how that person is interpreting what the client wants and what the client needs, and how much they talk, how little they talk, how they pack their kits. That's a huge one. Packing your kit is like you're packing a salon in a bag.
Yeah.
So how they do it, what they include, what they don't include, what information that they need from the client, just the list goes on about assisting is just so important in the beginning when you're trying to make that transition into more fashion hairstyling. And in addition to assisting, also making your own connection. So when you're assisting, the person you're assisting, they've made connections with the client that they have on their own, and it's taken them years to get to where they are. So you're not assisting to kind of wedge into that relationship. You're just there to kind of watch and see and give a helping hand. And then at the same time, you have to be making your own connections and your own network at the same time, using what you learned as an assistant and kind of creating your own circles from scratch, right? So then when you are creating your own network, that's when you go into test shoots. So test shoots is a free, everyone's kind of collaborating. No one's getting paid for this. So for example, my husband's a photographer. So it kind of works for us because we're married. So we help each other out for free anyways, like, so it helps us out. But I also love to test with other photographers. The reason why is because when they have a paid shoot, they're going to want to hire me because they enjoyed working with me in a previous shoot that I did with them.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to introduce yourself to new networks and new creatives. And from there, you're building your portfolio, right? So that's the portfolio building aspect of being an editorial hairstylist. And then you start getting into more publications and reputable names. Now you're working with models that have, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers, photographers that do the same, and then you're linked to a publication. Now, boom, now you're starting to make some traction. The
Yeah.
tricky part is balancing the two between behind the chair and excuse me, behind the chair and also on set, right? So it's hard to, perfect. It's hard to balance sometimes because your clients are counting on you. You know, you have those clients that every 6 weeks they need a retouch up or they want a bang trim, and that is totally fine. So, to be quite honest, I'm probably still learning how to balance the two, and it's an ongoing dance.
Yeah.
But organization, I must say, is the key
Yeah.
to keeping yourself split between the two worlds, right? So keeping everything in calendar, keeping notes, what formulas you used, having a strategy on your organization and an approach on how you're keeping both worlds aligned and in this symbiotic dance. That is the biggest key that, again, I'm still learning, so I'm preaching to myself. And if my husband is listening to this, babe, just be quiet. Because I know he's like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I think also having designated days too really helps. So I know from my pattern on what after years of doing on set, I usually have Saturdays and Sundays off.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Not that I choose to, it just happens to be. So I try to funnel a lot of my clients into the Saturdays and Sundays. And something that I love about Artists on Go is, Matthew, say it, my Capricorn brother is here and he knows about balancing all of the things that we're into.
Yeah.
um, but funneling all my clients into the days that I'm usually available, and then also building a clientele that understands the type of artist you are, right? So if you give them that expectation of like, I'm going to be there anytime that you want, they're going to expect that all the time, right? But if you're like, hey, if you want me to be your hairstylist, this hairstylist that also works on Gigi Hadid and Bella Hadid and all of these really cool things, and you want to be able to have that experience that you work with someone who is in the fashion world but then also can do your hair, then you have to understand that there's going to be some times where I might need to move our session to the following day or a couple hours later. Have that flexibility with me, and I've been really lucky that so far I've had clients that are really understanding. And then if we're just not meant for each other, I have a list of colleagues that I love to send my clients to if I'm not able to make it at that time, and they could either come right back to me, or even if they decide to move forward with them, that is something that is totally fine. And having that openness is also really important, because not everyone is meant for everyone. That happens on set too, like where I could be on set working on a fashion shoot, and it's just the personalities aren't really vibing, like they're expecting something, I'm expecting something else, and it's just not it. But I know someone that probably would get along with this way better, and like they'd be a way better fit, and that's okay. You're like, as an artist, your art can't be interpreted the same from everyone. It's
Yeah.
objective. Is that the word, right? I
Yeah.
got the right word, right?
Subjective. Subjective.
So yeah, that's my rant on
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely. I think like setting expectations is a huge, huge thing of just like, this is what it's going to be like definitely like being upfront and being transparent about like, how you work, how it's going to go is like something that can really like make or break like your client relationships for sure. And I think, would you say like the best way to build your portfolio if you wanted to get into editorial work is the test shoots, would you say?
Yes. So in the beginning, especially, you're wanting to, it's kind of similar like when you were in beauty school, right? So like when you're in beauty school, you did highlights for free. No one was paying you,
Yeah.
but you got your experience, and then you took pictures and you posted on your Instagram, and now you're showing people like, these are the highlights I can do. And then all of a sudden people are going to want to start paying you for your highlights. So it's essentially the same thing, just a different way to look at it. So like I said, I see assisting and I see test shoots as a way of our type of schooling. And the beautiful part is that you're not paying for it. You are paying for it because you have to pay for your supplies, and time is money,
Yeah.
and I get that. But you're not like paying a tuition. You're not like committing yourself 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, so you can graduate type of thing. It's as you can build yourself. So that's the beauty of the flexibility of freelancing, and with Artists on Go as a partner with that, it's like you can focus on your behind the chair clients to make the money, and then on your free time you do your test shoots. And then as you're building your test shoots, and then people want to start hiring you as a private, like, you know, hairstylist to work on set or for their events, their red carpet, things like that, then now you're making money on both ways.
Yeah.
You know, and you could just have to balance the two and continue to market yourself as uh, uh, like a hairstylist that offers variety rather than one specific type. But you have to also understand that they're not the same. They're
Yeah.
both not, they're completely different approaches in the way you market yourself and the way you show up. But then at the same time, it's very similar at the same time. It's the same art, just
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Hmm.
And I like the way like Artists on Go can sort of give you the flexibility, but also like give you the flexibility to focus on what you want to focus on, but also like the freedom to sort of like build the schedule that you want. So whenever your clients need you, you can be there if you can, and then only pay for the time that you're there.
Oh my
And then
God, that's huge.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
go, you know, do your test shoots and build that portfolio, and then you have both. Like having both would be like
Yes. Yeah.
perfect.
And I see that Dennis also agrees with me too, that test shoots build your portfolio as well. It's 100%. Like, he's on the same page because he totally understands. We still do. I know that I've been in this world for since I was 19. So what is this now? Like 12 years. So even at 12 years in, I still do test shoots all the time, because there's also test shoots are not only ways to build your portfolio, but it's to test out things. So let's say I don't really have many, I really want to do more editorial
Mhm.
wig artistry, right? I don't really have that in my book, and I don't necessarily want to wait until someone asks me to do it on a paid thing, because I don't really know what I would do yet, because I
Yeah,
haven't actually done
yeah,
it. So it's a good way for me to be like, hey, photographer, I have this idea. I've never really done it. Can we just like get together and do this? And they're like, most of the time they're like, yeah, let's do that, you know. So that's a good way to like practice too,
yeah,
you know. So if there's like a new technique you've never tried out, it's kind of like working on your mannequin head in the salon when you're not working on a client and you want to practice this new balayage technique. You work on it on a mannequin head, and
yeah,
it's the same thing on a test shoot. You're working on it as a test, as a practice. So that's another beautiful thing about a test shoot. There's just so many ways that you can benefit from getting your name out there, building your network, building your portfolio, practicing your techniques. Test shoots are like the key to coming to getting yourself into this industry, into the fashion world. However, something I must say is that not every test shoot is created equally. So be very aware of the type of artists or photographers or stylists that you're approaching, right? So let's say you want to be more in the, I don't know, pop star, like musician world. Maybe fashion's not really for you. Maybe you want to do like album covers and go on tour with rap artists or whatever. You're going to want to start doing tests and stuff with art, with photographers that shoot musicians, that shoot music videos, that do, and maybe do a few music videos
yeah,
for free, if that's what you really want to do. However, if I want to be a fashion artist, if I want to be a fashion hairstylist, excuse me, I'm not going to do free music videos.
yeah,
You know, like it's just not something that, I mean, you can, if you want to just see what it's like, sure, do it. But it's not about, you have to be strategic about what type of test shoots or what type of things you offer yourself for free, because it has to align with where you want to go,
yeah,
right? So if you're wanting to be a fashion hairstylist, definitely doing look at the photographer's work that you're agreeing to shoot with. Is it work that you think a future client would be like, oh wow, that's amazing? Or would your future client be like, that doesn't really align with what kind of hairstylist I want, right? Always shoot for your next client if you're doing it for free, especially. That's my hugest takeaway from experience of like trial and error of like just working with anyone who comes to me and is like, hey, we need a hairstylist, I'd be like, yeah, sure. And then realizing down the road that, maybe I could have gone without wasting my day off
Yeah.
on working with something that didn't really take me down the right path. But it's also a good thing I said yes, because I learned that
Yeah.
lesson. So, it is what it is. We got a
Yes.
question. Where would you say is the best place to find photographers? That is a great question. So, here on Instagram. I honestly find all my photographers on here. I also love to kind of cross reference. So I might find them on LinkedIn, for example, and then I go on their work on Instagram. I might message them on LinkedIn and on Instagram. I might, depending on how badly I want to work with this photographer, I might even reach out to their agent, So there's like a million ways to China. But I've used mainly Instagram because that's where everyone portrays their portfolio in a more daily basis. But also LinkedIn, like I mentioned, is a great way to find photographers, and you can see their portfolio not more in a visual way, but a more like list way where they're kind of listing all of the things that they've done, if they were art director for this company or blah 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 blah. And I would say you would see more of those like really serious photographers, like that are working as, like I said, art directors or creative directors of some sort, and they have more of like a business esque, whereas in Instagram you find a lot of like creative photographers that are maybe just picking up the camera for the first time and they're
Yeah.
just trying to get their name out there. So it depends on what level you're in, but those are my favorite two. What else do I use? um LinkedIn, Instagram. I feel like those are the two. Huh. Oh, actually, there's also this other app that I use, and it's a it's it's a way to find work, actually, and some of it isn't paid work. So it could be good to find unpaid work if you're just trying to get started and you want to like a way to direct you to like more tests and stuff like that. It's called Nova, Nova, and you have to apply to be part of this app. Oh, Dennis, models.com. Thank you. I was like, what is the other? I feel like I'm missing things. If you think of anything, please drop them in the comment section. Models.com is also another way to find photographers. Thank you. But going back to Nova, um, Nova is a platform that they post work for hair makeup artists, grips, photographers, videographers, um, like anyone in on set, like any sort of production assistant, um, even AI creators, just anyone that could be work like do post production or production on set. You go to Nova and you can type in hairstylist and they'll show you, hairstylists needed in LA, hairstylists needed in Chicago, hairstylists needed in New York City. And that's also a good way to find some work. And like I said, some of them isn't paid, which is a good way to kind of get your foot in.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. I think like just getting your name out there, build that portfolio, share it on social media, show your skills. And do you have any mentors or role models in the industry that you like to look at? Like, this is where I want to be.
Yes, I definitely do. Um, outside of, I feel like you can find mentors in your peers as
Yeah.
well. You don't necessarily need to look up to someone. It's more of like, even if you feel like you're equal, there's always things that you can learn from your surroundings. So that's why I always think that when people are like, oh, this is my competitor, I don't see people as my competition. I see people that are my peers as a way to lift each other up and call each other. I mean, I've called Dennis before where I'm like, hey, I have this situation, and we were on the phone for like an hour talking, like workshopping what we could do differently next time, or what he has done and then what he would wish that he would done next time. So it's a really good resource to have not only your peers, or not only the people that you look up to, but also your peers, excuse
Yeah.
me. And then of course you have people that you look up to that are already like way above where you are, right? And you're like, wow, I want to be there one day. And I've had the privilege of assisting my mentor, or I want to say mentor. He's just someone that I really look up to, and he just mentors me not personally, it's just by me watching him what he does. And I work with him on set, or not on set, but I work with him backstage in New York Fashion Week. His name is Jawara.
Mhm.
It's Jawara, Jawara. And he's an excellent fashion hairstylist. He's everything I would want to be and more. He's done, I mean, think of any big fashion house in the world, and he's done hair for them.
Yeah.
And what I love about his hair is that he works with any textures. He's from Jamaica. He's a background of being, his mother is a hairstylist as well. So we have very similar backgrounds. And he's a huge advocate for textured hair. So, and I feel the same way. I love, learning more about textured hair and having anyone that sits in my chair feel comfortable, no matter what their texture is. So that's something I really loved about working with him.
Mhm.
And he's just so also very humble and very sweet and super kind and makes people feel comfortable. So, can you type, please? Sure. I'm going to go ahead and type Jawara
Mhm.
so you guys can look that up. That's his name. He's a um, huge impact in where, in hair itself, but also where I want to be down the road. So definitely look him up. You're so welcome. But yeah, that's to answer your question.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, we want to look up to somewhere, it's like a goal. It's like, this is where I want to be, but also like having your peers to lean on is such a big thing. Like having that community that like understands where you are and like, you can go to if you have questions or like, hey, I need to figure this out, or hey, have you ever done this before? Or like, I think having a community, no matter what you do, is
Yeah.
like completely.
Absolutely. And anyone who's watching too, if you feel free to, please reach out to me if you ever have any questions. I love being that point of reference to people. So if you ever have a question about anything, I even always love helping people strategize on the type of emails to send out, like cold emails. That's like literally one of my favorites. I
Yeah.
posted a post on my reels of like, this is how I word my cold emails when I reach out to new brands. And like, I got so much love off of it. And I loved doing that. I loved how many questions I got in my DMs. And people were like, this is an email that I want to send out. What do you think? And I just loved doing that. I'm a Capricorn, so when it comes to business and like running business, I'm like, yes, let's go. Like, it gets me so excited.
I love that. I have a lot of Capricorn too, so.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, and then also going back to Jawara, I just posted around 12 o'clock today. My last show that I had with him was Off-White for New York Fashion Week. So you guys check that out as well. So you could see a little taste of, that's another way you can get on his page is my most recent post today. So you can see some of his work.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And just to sort of wrap up a little bit, because I
Yeah.
a ton of your time,
Yeah.
what is your biggest career accomplishment so far?
Ooh, I would say that this most recent month has been really, really, really eye-opening. And I wouldn't say it was one thing that happened that I was like, okay, this is my biggest accomplishment. I think it's more of like this past month, about, I would say actually 6 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
I used to be signed with an agency, and I decided that I kind of want to, I think it's time for me to break away from an agency. And it's such a scary thing to face when you've been signed with an agency and now you don't want to be signed anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of breaking away from a relationship. Anytime, think of it, any sort of boyfriend or girlfriend that you've dated and then you want to break up with them, it's kind of this yucky, scary feeling of like, what's going to be life without this person? And I, you know, I got the opportunity to break away in a really mutual, beneficial way that seemed very peaceful, and no bridges were burned or anything like that, which is great. And so that's best case scenario. And then right after that happened, it almost felt like everything was falling into place. Between I got multiple celebrity clients during Fashion Week. I got multiple shows that I got to work on. I led my first show. So I usually, when I work Fashion Week, I'm working on the team for
Yeah.
someone. And I led my first show with 40 models, almost 40 models. It was 36 models,
Wow.
and a team of 20 artists that worked under me and my team. So, organizing and navigating all the pre-show, information and getting everyone hired and the interview process. And then the day of, the leadership of kind of getting everyone behind a chair for, each model that needed to be ready in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So like that was a huge feat in itself. And so yeah, just like everything kind of mixed together. I'm like looking back at this past like 6 weeks, and I'm like, I think that is my biggest accomplishment, is being able to step away from something that was so certain, and then being scared about it a little bit, and still being able to prove to myself that even without something as official as an agency, because everyone's like, oh my god, I want to be signed with an agency, and I realized, and I also taught myself, that agencies isn't the end all be all. You can do it on your own.
Yeah.
Agencies definitely help. They
Mm-hmm.
help. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely not talking bad about agencies, because I would love to be part of an agency, but just the
Yeah.
right one. You can't just be signed to anyone. You have to be signed with the right agency that's going to support you in where you want to go, and not just fit you in a box because it's the easy thing to do. You have to, be paired with the right person that's going to, help nurture you in the right direction.
No, yeah, absolutely. And congrats
Thank
on leading
you.
your show. How did you keep yourself like organized during like such an insane event?
It was really hard. I mean, a lot of it has to do with Google Calendar. Thanks, Google Calendar. And just I also have I love writing things down, so I also have a planner itself.
Okay.
And so like writing things down definitely really helps. And I don't know, just when you really love something and you're really passionate about it, it's like something you don't, like your brain doesn't really, for me at least, my brain kind of stays focused in that realm. However, too, if I'm going to be completely real with you right now, this is real, the real moment right now. Yes, being so busy with work is like so amazing, but then you have to always remember, guys, whoever is listening to this right now, also pay attention to home as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard, or sorry, sometimes it's easy to get lost in the mix of like, oh my God, I'm booked, I'm booked, I'm booked, I'm booked. And you're not feeding yourself, you're not drinking enough water, you're not loving the people around you, and, call your mom.
Oh,
Like, so
wherever she is, she wants you to
yeah,
call.
wherever she is, whoever, even if it's not your mom, anyone, just whoever shows you love and support, make sure to show them love and support. Even if you're really busy, try your best to make space for your home self and yourself as well, because it's not always about work as well. And that's something that I am learning. But I wanted to make sure I share that with you, so that this conversation is completely real.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it can be hard to make time for yourself, but it's always important. And
Yes,
on that note, I want to thank you so much for joining me and sharing your secrets with us, spilling your tips,
of course, my pleasure.
helping the community, your community, our community. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm sure we'll do
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I'm really excited for our event on Thursday, the Artists on Go event. It's
Yeah.
going to be so fun. If anyone is watching and wants to come, Artists on Go is hosting an event at Second Floor Salon, which is a salon that I worked at. I took a personal client there. It's a beautiful space. So if you guys want to check it out and meet us in person, it's a free event. And it's in your link in bio, correct?
Yes, and it's
Yes.
currently in our stories as well. So if you
Oh,
want to
perfect.
see, go to our stories. You can check out. I posted a video of the salon. You can check out the salon, how beautiful it is, and then you can come meet us on Thursday at 6.
Yeah, and you can definitely ask me any questions. That if you guys have any follow-up questions, you can either DM me or ask me in person on Thursday.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Francesca, and thanks,
Thank
guys,
you.
for
Bye, everyone.